Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another spring day here in beautiful Wake Forest, North Carolina. Today, we're going to continue with our build on the lower cabinet, and we're going to start with sanding, and then we're going to cut the back, do some priming, hopefully put the finished coat of paint on the inside and the back, and then we'll get the trim on the outside. So, without further ado, let's get going and make that happen. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is sand off the drywall compound that we put on the lower cabinet last time. And so I got my sander here. We'll get that going. And right after we do this, we'll be ready to put the priming coat on. Actually, no, before we put the priming coat on, I'm going to cut the back panel that needs to go on here. And then we'll prime it all at the same time. So let's get going. All right, now that we've gotten ourselves all dusty, we're going to go ahead and put this front side down, and we're going to measure the back and cut the piece for the backing of this cabinet. So let's go ahead and get that going. All right, now we're getting ready to cut the back piece, so we'll get that going. All right, Now we'll cut off this one side here. We'll measure, make the cut. All right, let's go ahead and cut the back. All right, now we'll do a dry fit. Make sure that I've got it correct. Perfect. All right, looking good. All right, we're going to take this apart now. I'm going to get the paint. I'm going to do primer on both the cabinet and the back. And once that dries, we're going to go ahead and put the finish coat on the inside and the back, and then we'll assemble it. And then we'll start with the face frame. So stand by for that. All right, now we're going to start our painting. We're going to start with the primer. The first thing we're going to paint here is the back piece. So we'll get that primed. So this way, uh, we'll get it primed, and then we'll put the final coat on it before we assemble it to the cabinet. So this way, it's going to be easier to paint. And we're also going to paint the inside and the sides of the cabinet itself with the primer, and then the finish coat. And this way, all we have to do is deal with the outside for the finish coat. So that won't stop us from getting it into location, bolted to the wall, and ready to go. So let's go ahead and start painting. I've already prepared the paint. Primer is good because it creates a surface that paint sticks to, regardless of the material that you put the primer on. I mean, there's different primers for different materials like metals and woods and plastics, but the primer creates like a substrate so that once you do put the final coat on, it's going to stick. The primer will stick to whatever substrate you put it on, assuming you have the right primer for that material. But then it makes it easy to get the paint to stick on there really well. In addition, especially with wood, fresh wood like this tends to soak in the paint. So primer is a lot less expensive to buy than the finished paint. So making sure that you use the primer will not only make sure that the paint sticks well, but it'll make your investment in your paint go a lot further because you won't have to put so many or as many coats onto the surface. All right, now we'll turn it around. This will typically dry in about 30 minutes or so, especially out here in the sun with the slight breeze that we have. So that'll speed up our process as well. All right, we'll let this dry, and then we'll actually put on our finished coat today and let that dry overnight. Same thing for the inside of there. And then we'll put the frame on the outside, attach this, and we're pretty close to putting it inside, at least for the base cabinet, and then we'll build the sides and the upper part after that. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera so you can see what's going on here. So come on with me, camera. I'm going to start with this outside edge here. I'm kind of a messy painter. That's why I'm wearing these clothes today. These clothes have seen a lot of painting. As you can notice, there's a lot of colors on them too. All right, that's it for the priming. Now I'm going to clean up, and in the next episode, I'm going to let this dry. We're going to show putting on the final coat and then doing some assembly. So thanks again for watching. If you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, and share. And I hope to see you on the next one. Have a great day. Bye-bye.